Kids. Gotta love them. Got any kids? Get some, that's an order.
Welcome back, friends.
Welcome back.
It's time for another episode. This one is our Forever Night episode. Forever Night Season 1, Episode 13, Father Figure.
Dad bod.
I feel like you identify strongly with that phrase because you've made that joke every single time I've said father figure.
It's a good joke.
It's a good joke. It is. It was a good joke the first time. For sure.
It's still a good joke.
Is it? Is it?
It'll grow on you. Just like a dad bod.
I was waiting for that. That one was good. That was a good joke. Well, you know, we don't ever put anything at the beginning except shoot the shit and then get going. So let's get going. Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
Welcome to the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. So this is episode 1, or season 1, episode 13. And it is directed by Gary Farmer.
LaCroix.
Captain Stonetree.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody's names.
LaCroix is Nigel Bennett.
Nigel
Oh my God.
Bennett. That makes more sense.
Yeah, Gary Farmer's Captain Stonetree. Hang on. I gotta rediscover reality for a second here because you just threw me for a loop. I thought you were kidding. You seriously?
I was like halfway confident. I just figured I'd
just
go all in.
Hey, you know what?
Statement. It's like shouting what you think is the correct answer in class.
Yeah.
And might not be, but if it is right, you sound really confident.
Yeah, I think just sounding confident
off.
without knowing whether or not you're actually right is basically your personality. So
most of the time, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Pretty sure. But you don't need to be 100. 80's fine. 80's fine. You could run with 80 all day long.
Hey, C's get degrees.
You would know.
D's get degrees also. D is for degree, isn't it?
Passing grades get degrees, yes. So we get our cold open, our usual cold open, and it's the crime. Obviously, it's always the crime.
So, 80% of the time.
And in this case,
if you say it confidently enough.
And in this case, there's 2 crimes. Because first, it's a little girl stealing comic books.
Womp womp.
And then she is in the process of fleeing, and she bumps into somebody, and they drop a bunch of papers.
And she interrupts this person fleeing from hitmen.
Yep, because she then watches as he gets killed. And we get the fun line.
Oh, please. No!
You should have checked your arithmetic, Marty. You should have checked your arithmetic.
Should have checked your arithmetic, Marty.
The most Canadian, aggressive hitman statement.
Congratulations. This is the most we're going to spend on this crime pretty much in the entire show.
Yeah, the actual murder of this guy, Marty.
Yeah, this is the longest.
Who should have checked his arithmetic.
Should have checked
Marty.
his arithmetic.
And then Lisa says, "Oh, he got hitman."
That's not. No, I'm sorry. You're trying to peek again. You hit it with father figure and dad bod, but don't just let it come to you. Okay, don't force it. You could hurt yourself.
Well, this is one of them that just came to me. And
you just shouted it confidently.
If I just keep being witty,
Yeah.
eventually I'll be clever.
Right. You were 80% sure that was going to be funny, so you just ran with it.
Yeah. I just shout it with 80% confidence. And
Okay, you were incorrect. So this is interesting because last episode we made a big to-do about the fact that there were so many NPCs and that we chatted with these NPCs at every opportunity.
By name.
And it really took us out of it because it was like, what the actual
Really distracting.
fuck? Why are we talking to all these people? There's 4 characters. You can't introduce more characters. I can't keep up with this shit. And so at the beginning of this episode, Nick arrives and Skanky's not there. It's another guy. Who I think introduces himself, but who cares? We're never going to see him again. And he delivers this really long, complicated line that sounds like it was written for Skanky.
But he says it in like a very thick Indian accent.
Yeah. And it's a lot. There's a lot of idioms. He says the whole thing kind of deadpan. I don't know if I would have caught it if I didn't have the subtitles on, but he says stuff like, looks like they found eraser crumbs on the bottom line. It's like they wrote this for Skanky. And then John Capellos couldn't show up right at the beginning of filming or something. So they were like, that guy, you do this. Can you be a detective for like 5 minutes? And the guy was like, yeah, sure. And so he delivers this line about how this is a mob hit and this guy was a mob accountant and he was skimming off the top and they caught him and so they killed him. Straightforward, easy peasy. No one's going to get convicted. It's the mob, whatever. And Nick's like, yeah, I hear you. Oh, he even gets some banter with Natalie. Random detective guy gets some back and forth with Natalie where he says something like barn door, you could walk right through it because the guy got hit with 2 high caliber shells. And Natalie's like, yep, in like a sports car, out like a semi. You're like,
I think he says 2-car garage.
Yeah. And she's like, what? And you're like, what is happening? What? Who is this guy? How does Natalie knows more people than Nick because she works with she works with everybody. It feels like she only works with Nick, but she actually works with everybody. And she works with several she's like the regional coroner.
Yes.
So she's not only interacting with police officers from Nick's precinct. But I don't know. Somehow she knows this guy. And yeah, I hope you liked him because we're probably never going to see him again. But Nick does.
He has a picture on IMDb.
Oh, maybe he's been in other stuff.
Yeah.
And his name is like
Israel.
Yeah. Martin Israel or something. Yeah. Anyway, Nick hears a heartbeat, which is surprising because there's a lot of people milling around.
But it's a fast heartbeat, a small heartbeat.
Yeah, he hears a child, I guess. I don't know. He's a vampire. He's
a little
800
girl
years
who's
old.
nervous because she stole some comic books.
And then saw somebody get killed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's nervous about the guy getting killed way more than the comic books. But I don't know, maybe not. Once we meet this girl, we'll find out. Nothing is straightforward. But I don't know. He's 800. I guess he has time to have honed his, okay, that's Natalie's heartbeat. That's random dude's heartbeat. Oh, I don't know what that last heartbeat is.
It's like the meme about Superman. Superman can hear every heartbeat on Earth, and he knows exactly which one is Bruce Wayne's.
I haven't heard that.
You've never seen that?
Oh, you are batting 2 for 3.
I've seen that meme like 5 times.
I've seen that meme like a bunch.
A bunch.
Yeah, well,
it's a popular meme, honey.
I don't surf the meme streams like you do so much, honey.
That's true.
Yeah.
You gotta, come on, pick up the pace.
That's the actual phrase. Surf the meme
streams.
You're welcome.
Do you ride the meme streams? Maybe
No.
you canoe the meme streams.
You canoe, yeah. It's like Shit Creek.
You paddle the meme streams?
Nah, it's like
That
Shit
has a
Creek. You don't do
connotation
anything.
of
You just ride.
distributing memes too. You paddle. Well, that's like pedal. Sorry.
That's what
You pedal the memes.
quit while you're ahead.
There's a combination of puns here that's gonna work, and I just gotta experiment with them.
It's like when you're it's like when the guy's unlocking a safe in a movie, and they just gotta keep turning it to see which tumblers fall into place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the first 2, but not the third, and then you got to keep trying until you get it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a perfect analogy. So they pull the little girl out, And so for some reason, Natalie is now playing with the little girl in Nick's car. And Nick is just leaning against the side, and random dude comes over and he's like, "Oh, Nick, you got kids?" Nick's like,
No, this is the Indian officer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Random dude.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of random guys, but the random guy, Indian detective man, he comes over and he's like, "Oh, Nick, you got any kids?" And Nick's like, No, I don't. Not even married. And he's like, "Oh, you should try it. They're great." And Nick's like, "I really want to."
And as the guy is walking away, he's like, "I've thought about it. I really have." And he kind of starts to go off into like
And it's like this guy's like, oh, this is a Nick moment. Dip while you can. And he just leaves.
So Nick's like line of sight starts drifting away from the camera, and you're like, "Oh, this is a flashback," but then he kind of gets pulled back in. It's
Yeah.
like, oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, but
bring it back.
Indian detective man takes this opportunity to be like, "Okay, so I'm gonna go. Bye," and he leaves. And then we get some man with like a high-tech spy glass thing.
This is an impressive like miniature telescope that this guy has. That he's in a parking garage like more than a block away.
When you said miniature telescope, I kind of pictured like a miniature the little like pirate telescope that opens up and just holds it up to his eye. But it's some kind of high-tech spy thing, whatever.
I think the technical term for a single eye thing that zooms in is monocular.
Yeah, so he sees Nick's car and he sees Nick's license plate and he sees that this little girl is in the car. So they know that this girl saw them kill that guy.
Yep. He recognizes the girl.
Yeah. And so Nick gets kind of a moment where he's sort of wallowing in baby fever for just a second, where he's like, I really do want kids. I want a family. How come I can't have a family? I'll remember. I know. I'll just flash back to that time I did have a family.
I made an attempt.
Whoop, 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 whoop. So we go off into London during World War II, and there's an air raid going on, and everyone seems wildly unconcerned because they're just milling about this house, including a small child that is there to rob them. And so this little child shows up and tries to steal Janette's purse, which Janette looks fabulous in every single costume in these flashbacks,
absolutely.
by the way.
I agree.
Yeah. This is the thing about Forever Night that I have always found so...
Kudos.
Yeah, that costume designer.
Janette's costume designer.
Yes. This is the thing about Forever Night that I have always found interesting is we have a lot of flashbacks. They can reuse a ton of sets from modern day, right? Nick's apartment, the precinct, inside of his car, the morgue, whatever. We've got a lot of recycle. They have to come up with completely new costumes, completely new sets for every single flashback. And with a few notable exceptions, I'm looking at you episode where Lacroix killed his father in effigy. They turn it out. They turn out the flashbacks every single time.
Yes.
Nick's mustache is questionable.
I was actually impressed at the realisticness of Nick's mustache.
Oh, it looks like a real mustache.
It looks like a real mustache.
It's just a bad
Rachel has a bias against mustaches.
It's just not flattering. But it's of the time. So it's period specific. It's well done. But they always turn out for these flashbacks. And Janette looks amazing. Her hair looks amazing. She wears this one white like silk gown and it looks so fabulous and it moves so beautifully and they are all tailored to her so nicely. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out that of all the things that this show misses on, it's a little hit and miss sometimes. We rarely miss on the flashbacks. But the little boy steals Janette's purse. And
then bumps into a whole bunch of people.
Right. And
like they were walking out of a party.
Nick and Janette are walking together and she steals Janette's purse.
No, LaCroix and Janette are walking together.
Oh, is it LaCroix and Janette?
It's LaCroix and Jeanette walking together. He grabs Jeanette's purse and then
Nick shows
walks
up.
into a crowd of people that look like they're leaving a party. And then as he's going out the door out of the building, Nick just
Pops up.
grabs him by the arm.
Yeah.
Which my question was, how did Nick know that this kid was causing trouble?
Well, the kid was in a place where they shouldn't be, and they were running away.
That's true. Okay, so he was a
so
dirty,
they were acting suspicious.
He was a dirty child in a place where he shouldn't be.
Right.
And he was carrying a fancy purse. He may have recognized Jeanette's purse.
Yeah. Definitely.
Nick is Nick is hit and miss, just like the show, on being observant.
Right. But I think he knew, however he knew immediately that this child was up to no good, because he grabs his arm and he spins the kid around, and
Jeanette Lacroix.
Yeah, they get a little bit of dialogue, and Janette, the little boy, is talking to Janette, and he says, "What should I call you? Princess something?" And Janette's like, "Oh, I like him."
That's worth at least $1.
She's like, "Oh, yes. Maybe we should get him a meal." Janette always responds to flattery.
Yes.
Seriously. If Janette's killing you ever, she just shows up, just be like, "Oh, God, your hair looks amazing." And Janette would be like, "Oh, does it? Jeez, thank you."
Oh, I think I'll keep you around.
I think I'll keep you. But we come back from the flashback, and we're not where we were when we flashed back. We've moved. He's in the precinct, and it's Stone Tree. And Stone Tree's like, "Are you even listening to me, Knight?"
Yeah, he's sitting at his desk.
Are you listening, Knight? I'm sorry, what?
And Nick's like, "What? Huh?" "Sorry, I was thinking about the past." And Stone Tree's like, look, focus. You're going to take the kid home with you." And Nick's like, "I'm sorry, what? You want me to take the kid home with me?" And Stone Tree's like, "Yeah.
With no warning.
You are the absolute best possible solution for this. We don't
Because Skanky's still out.
No, Skanky's there with the babysitter at this point. So Skanky's back, but for some reason, Skanky's not a good fit. And then there's no such thing as social services, and there's also no safe houses. The only possible solution is that this child goes to a random detective's house alone.
Right. This detective's personal residence.
Alone
Nowadays, you'd
and
say,
unsupervised.
"Oh, a single, mid-30s man is taking a child to his home alone."
Right. Tell me you're in the 90s without telling me you're in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not sent with a chaperone, nothing. They're just like, "We trust you, Nick. You can handle this. Here's a child. Take it home with you." And Nick's like, "Oh, okay. What is it, 3? Does it eat? I don't know what to do with this." But they get a few minutes with the babysitter, which is really just kind of for us as the viewer to be like, well, who was taking care of her? Because her dad's out on an oil rig.
Right. Yeah, that's just filling in that.
Right.
That
We needed
pothole.
some device to keep the father away for a period of time.
Right.
He works in a distance.
To not have a viable alternative for her to go home to that would be safe.
Right.
And if there was a parent there, you couldn't say, "Hey, your child is a witness to a murder. We're going to take your child into protective custody."
We're not even doing that. We're just sending him home. We're just sending your child home with this random bachelor detective guy who's a little bit weird, but he's good at his job. It's fine. I'd be like, what the actual fuck? No, you are not taking, no.
But
no.
then if there's just the neighbor lady
Yeah.
that she stays with when her dad is gone.
Right.
Well, okay, there's no legal guardian here.
Right. And that lady is extremely grateful to hand off this child because she's
Yes.
like, she's a handful. I'm not as young as I used to be, which she looks plenty young to be taking care of a child that age, but that's fine.
Good luck to you, Mr. Knight. You'll need it.
Her name is Miss DeMarco. I don't know if it matters, but Skanky
I
is
thought
back.
it was
He's talking
interesting.
to her.
Nick refers to her as Miss. Everyone else refers to her as Mrs. DeMarco.
Maybe he's missing it. Miss, you know how some people do the like.
There was a whole like cultural movement to replace Mrs. with Miss.
Well, I can understand that. It's a little weird that for some reason I'm your like possession, MRS.
Right, and that's why it was a like feminist movement to replace Mrs. with Miss. But I thought it was interesting, like, whoop, 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 whoop.
That could have been a Garrett Wynn Davies
back
thing,
up
too.
to the 90s era.
Yeah.
The only one who's caught on to the, in general, women prefer to be addressed as Miss.
Yeah.
Because Mrs. is a possessive thing. A possessive, was it title?
Honorific title.
Honorific.
Yeah.
Whereas Miss is neutral.
Yeah.
At worst, it's neutral. Nick is the only one following the like more modern convention.
So funny story. Matt and I had to get several marriage counseling sessions to get married in the venue that we wanted to get married in. And I told the officiant explicitly.
He was a reverend.
Yeah, I told him explicitly at the very beginning that I didn't want any mail addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Matthew because I am not now Matthew. I am still Rachel, and I don't want to be referred to as Mrs. Matthew. And so all mail that we received from then forward was addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Rachel.
No, it was Mrs. and Mr. Rachel.
Yeah, Mrs. and Mr. Rachel.
Yep.
Yeah. So
good job, Lee.
Good job.
If you're listening.
So this is one of my least favorite child tropes, is the spunky, precocious kid who can charm any adult with their over-the-top sensibilities and humor and
Right, I was getting Punky Brewster vibes.
Major Punky. She even dresses like Punky Brewster. She has the striped
it was the
shirt.
outfit.
Yeah, with the overalls with tights underneath that are belted at the waist.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had major Punky Brewster vibes. So she's supposed to be precocious and charming. And so when they go to get her, she's sitting on a table in the middle of this room, and all of these cops are gathered around her, and they're all like,
she's telling jokes to the entire precinct.
She's so funny. And so instead of drawing a picture of the suspect, she's drawn a picture of Skanky. And everyone's like,
in addition to
That's so
the descriptions of the suspects, she had the artist to do a sketch of Skanky.
All right, well, anyway,
because they handed off 2 papers to Nick, and Nick was like, "Okay, good, have these copied and distributed."
Oh yeah,
and then she called out the next one. And it was Skanky. And Skanky was, and Nick's like, that doesn't look like you. You have much more prominent nose hairs. which that came off as much more like Goofy Garrett.
Yeah.
Rather than a scripted line.
Right. Like he made that up, like made up what was more
the
prominent
nose hairs,
the nose hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's done charming the entire precinct with her precocious childhood energy. Nick actually requests a real car. He's like, I can't take her in the caddy. It's a little too open. I want her in something safer. So can I please have an unmarked precinct car? And they're like, yeah, Nick, anything for you. So they bring Nick a car, and that's what they're driving in when they're headed home. And she's telling him a story about the comic books that she likes to read, but he's not really listening because somebody's following them. He notices
somebody following them.
Right. And so they end up getting shot at. They have like a drive-by, and he has told her to get in the footwell so she'll be safer. And he gets shot in the shoulder. And she's like, are you okay? And he's like, oh, yeah. Yep, I'm fine. They missed me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he's wearing his purple members only jacket. And he is wearing his purple members only jacket this Try saying that 5 times fast. It's like Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers, but it's purple members only jacket. And he's wearing it the entire episode, including later when he's sleeping. And then when he wakes up, he's still got it on.
I wonder if they have a hole in the sleeve, in the shoulder. I'm going to check next episode that he wears it.
Well, wasn't he wearing it in the one where he got shot at the call center at the like phone sex line? Faithful Followers, not Faithful Followers. That's a later episode.
I remember
For I Have Sinned. Remember he gets shot and he's like holding his stomach and he goes, "Go get help."
Oh yeah, and then he's like in the stairwell.
Yeah.
He's like, "Go get help," and then they leave, and he's like, "Okay, I'm fine. I need to get back."
Yeah, I'm pretty
Follow
sure
this
he's wearing
person.
his purple members only jacket in that episode, which means it has at least one hole through the
Or
back.
he has multiple purple members only jackets.
It's hard to say, isn't it? So Nick does the only thing he can think of to do after he gets shot in a drive-by, which is just go ahead and take Lisa home like he was planning to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, right? Obviously, they don't know who he is. They have no reason to believe that he's the one with her. That's not why they shot at him. People shoot at him all the time. It's probably unconnected. Right?
He knew it was connected.
What I'm pointing out is it was a questionable decision, not knowing how they found him, to just go ahead and continue with the plan.
Right. At this point, he's not driving his normal vehicle. So it's not like somebody was following his very distinctive 1962
He doesn't
Cadillac.
know how they knew where he was.
So somebody's following him very carefully. And they shot at him.
Yeah.
The most likely scenario is they're after the girl. If they know enough and are skilled enough to follow him in an unmarked, anonymous vehicle,
Yeah.
they probably know who he is and where he lives.
Right.
So at this point, he should have said, "They're on to us." When he calls Skanky, he said, "They made us.
Yeah.
They shot at us."
Yes.
Okay, change plan. Boom. Random destination.
No.
Don't even maybe call the police captain and say, "Hey, Stone Tree, they made us. I'm going to, back up safe house 16F."
But then they'd have to put together another set. And they blew all of their budget on Janette's wardrobe for the flashback.
Okay, now we're metagaming here.
Yes. Any sane cop in this scenario would not have been like, "Wow, that was an adventure, huh? Let's get you home to my home where we were already planning to go."
Yeah.
Yeah, he always acts like his house is this fortress. Like he's always offering it up as a place for people to come stay, where they'll be safe. Like he doesn't have floor-to-ceiling windows and a skylight, and he's not the only one in that warehouse.
Metal shutters that go over the windows.
But not on the skylight.
Good point.
Yeah.
He needs an upgrade.
Yeah. I don't know. He needs to stop taking people home like they're going to be safe there. Not just leaving aside the fact that he's taking them home with him and he literally eats people.
Especially when he's wounded.
Right. So he comes home and he calls Natalie and he's like, "Hey, so I've got a situation here and I need you to come take care of it."
I caught one.
He's like, I need you to get something out for me. I've got something hard in my body.
I need you to take care of it.
I need you to take care of it. And she's like, "I'll be over."
And on the way, she's like, all right, we're finally going to make it. We're finally going to make it.
Happening. But no.
Oh, it's a bullet.
It's a bullet.
God damn it. God damn it, Nicholas. I thought it was finally a booty call.
It's never a booty call.
Sorry, Nat.
But
I don't think you're ever getting a booty call.
No. And then Lisa is walking around his apartment this entire time that he's on the phone with Natalie. Pippin has the zoomies. I'm sorry if you guys hear it, but Pippin has the zoomies, and I'm just going to let him do this because Fat Boy needs some exercise.
Yeah, there's some towels in the living room that he keeps
Tackling.
walking in nonchalantly from the hallway and then pounce.
Bounce. Lisa is walking around exploring this apartment, and she's like, oh, what do we got to eat? So she opens the refrigerator, and it's just wine bottles, and she's like, got a drinking problem, Nick? And then she opens the freezer, and there's blood bags in the freezer.
And one tumbles out and she doesn't put it back in.
It's very noticeably.
But then she says, are you Italian or something? Maybe she thought it was tomato sauce?
I don't know. It's very obviously a human blood bag.
Yes.
In his
Absolutely.
freezer, which is in no way frozen.
Right.
But it's in his freezer. Yeah, well, luckily she just thinks he's Italian. He doesn't even comment. He's just like, haha, you're such a silly kid.
I think this is the first time we've ever seen his freezer opened.
Yeah, it's true. It's because it's on the bottom. And he calls Skanky. Oh, because she says, are you Italian or something? And he's like, what are you, a detective? And he's just called Skanky. So Skanky's on the line, and Skanky goes, yeah, I am a detective.
Yeah, he's waiting for Skanky to pick up.
Yeah. And Skanky is at his leisure.
Sitting in his boxers in a recliner.
What is this? Like his man cave closet? It's like 5 foot by 5 foot. He's in a recliner. Like the TV is about a foot away from the bottom of his feet.
Yeah.
And he's watching I Dream of Jeannie.
Which I only knew that because the subtitles said I Dream of Jeannie theme song.
Right. And Nick is like, well, get over here. I need your help. And Skanky's like, you mean tomorrow you need my help? Because I'm about to watch my favorite show. And Nick is like, oh no, I need food for the child because I have no food in this apartment.
Yeah.
I need you to come over here because somebody shot at me and we need to discuss it in person, obviously, because I'm
You need to get on the
absolutely
case.
not uncomfortable with the fact that I have a child in my house right now and I just need some backup here, Skanky. And so Skanky, being the solid bro that he is like, all right, fine. I'll be over. I'll bring pizza. I'm on my way. And so the girl's done walking around. She flops on the couch. She's like, are you married? And Nick goes, no. And she goes, are you straight? And Nick,
Quite the question in
Nick's
92.
like, sometimes.
He said yes.
He said yes. I don't know.
This persona.
Yeah. It's been 800 years.
Which, yeah, I don't know.
I am now.
I don't know if Nick ever swings the other way.
I don't know. We never cover it.
Okay.
That would be something that'd be good for season 4.
Not canon. Or maybe some fan fiction.
Oh, I'm guarantee you there's Nick and LaCroix fan fiction out there. Anyway, she asks him if he's straight, and he's like, yes. And she's like, but you don't have any food in your fridge. And he's like, I'm never home. And she just accepts that. That's fine. She gets it because her dad is gone a lot.
Yeah.
And we go back to our flashback again. And Janette is totally digging this kid thing. They've taken in this stray.
Can we keep it?
Yeah, and this kid is gamely trying to have a Cockney accent. He is really trying.
He's trying real hard.
And he's so close and yet so far. And they give him a toy. And Janette goes, your Uncle Nicky practically flew all the way to London to get this for you. I sampled a whoosh sound from a previous episode. So now
Nice.
I have a whoosh I can throw in all the time.
Nice.
And LaCroix is not amused by this. He's like, why are there small humans here? And we're not eating them like the chicken nuggets they are. So he actually snarls. He does like a...
Yeah, when they open the present.
Yeah. Like, ugh, it's gross. And Lisa, we back in modern times. Lisa, being the spunky, precocious, observant child that she is like, is Natalie coming over? And Nick's like, yeah.
No, where's your girlfriend?
Where's your girlfriend? And he's like, what girlfriend? She's like, oh, the hot doctor.
The lady doctor.
Yeah. And Nick's like, oh, she's not my girlfriend. And Lisa's like,
You should marry her because she's got it bad for you.
Yeah.
Where's our supper? I'm starved.
Skank will be here any minute.
Where's your girlfriend?
Girlfriend?
The lady doctor. You should marry her. She's got it bad for you. I can tell.
You're nuts, Lisa.
And Nick's like, what? No. What?
What? No. What?
No. Does Nick know? Does Nick know?
Nick probably knows.
You think Nick knows?
I think Nick knows, and he's purposely distancing himself.
Yeah. Do we think it's because he doesn't like Natalie or because he's afraid he'll hurt Natalie?
He doesn't want to hurt Natalie. That's my interpretation.
I think I'd go with that. That he knows, but he's like, I can't do this. Not until I get more human or whatever. But then Skanky arrives on the elevator. And this just...
And Skanky pulls off really good dad vibes.
Wait, this deepens my elevator mystery, okay? Because we have the sliding door, which is sometimes an elevator, sometimes a hallway. So we see the light rise in the little window of the sliding door as if an elevator car is arriving at the floor. Nick's apartment floor. And Skanky just slides open the door like he is on an elevator and it has just arrived.
Right. He's been standing in this exact spot. His elevator just arrived at this floor, and the door that's in front of him, he opens it.
However, this is still not an elevator by any stretch of the imagination. There is no line. There is no... In fact, later... Nick or Skanky and Natalie go through the door, and Nick slides the door shut, and we see the door sliding shut from Skanky and Natalie's point of view, and it is all brick walls, and they turn around and face the sliding door as if their elevator car is about to go down. They are clearly not in an elevator car. They are just standing in a hallway with brick walls. So I'm just revisiting my earlier conundrum as to what are we supposed to think is this elevator? I think there's supposed to be like a service elevator, and maybe there's no front on the service elevator. So that would explain the light change through the window.
Right.
I don't know. That's what I'm just going to have to go to. But yes, Skanky is in dad mode. And he's doing a really good job being dad mode. In fact, he's so good. I looked it up to see if John Capellos has any kids, and I don't think he does.
What?
At least
he's
not
a good uncle then.
Yeah, at least not according to IMDb. And usually IMDb will put it down in the trivia.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm wrong.
He may have just sheltered his family life from his work life.
Well, I could totally understand that. But he's definitely pulling off dad mode, which John Capellos is a good actor.
Yeah.
So... he jokes around with her. He gets a pizza, which of course is covered in garlic. And Nick is like, oh, garlic. Like, Nick, pretend, okay? Walk away. Put on your game face. Anything,
Nick
man.
has no game face.
He has
in
no
this episode.
No, he does not. And then we get a shot of the bad guys. And they are chatting about the little girl. And the fact that now that she's shacking up with a cop, that ups the ante.
Right. Does the anonymous person that they're talking to still want them to take care of the girl? Because now she's with the cop, and they'll have to take care of the cop too, and that ups the ante and their fee.
Yeah, and so whoever they're talking to is like, "Hell yeah, kill that cop,
take him out,
take him out." So we go back to Nick's apartment, and Natalie is over, and Lisa says, "You make house calls? I didn't know you made house calls." And Natalie's like, only for deadbeats.
And she looks over at Skanky.
Yeah.
When she says deadbeats.
That joke was not for Skanky.
But, yeah. Yeah, the joke is for Nick because he's dead.
And then we have a really weird interaction where Nick is like, so, Natalie, you gonna look at my shoulder? And Skanky's like, why? What's wrong with your shoulder? And Nick's like, oh, it's, I just pulled a muscle, man. It's acting up. Which Skanky's like, oh, okay, cool. Not like, hey, Natalie only works with dead people.
Which didn't they make a reference for Natalie that she used to work on living people?
Yeah.
She's a full medical doctor, but she couldn't handle working on live people. And so she became a coroner.
Yeah, we discussed that in that episode because she's so young. She's only 30.
Right.
Just in your own time, Pippin. I mean, whatever you feel like doing here, man. That's
Rachel
fine.
has a notebook on her lap, and Pippin has decided he needs to lay on that notebook. And there, he's... Hold on. Where's my phone? I'm going to take a picture of this.
I don't know where to go from here. He's laying on my nose.
All right, so they go into... Is it
Pippin.
a bathroom? Is it a bedroom?
It's
Is it a whatever?
It's a room with some kind of table covered in glass bottles.
With
and
a big mirror in front of it.
With a big mirror in it. And first of all, Natalie's like, oh, your wound didn't close up. It's also not bleeding. So how great? Question mark. And then she goes to get the bullet out and it hurts. And she's like, oh
my God, you felt pain.
You felt pain. And he's like, well, a little. It was just a flesh wound. And she says, but we're getting so close. Look, you have a reflection. And he says, yeah, sometimes.
She's like, oh, look, you can see yourself in the mirror. Or I can see you in the mirror. He says, yeah, I can see myself in the mirror, but only sometimes.
Only sometimes. Everyone enjoy that moment because we are never going to reference the fact that Nick doesn't show up in mirrors ever again.
This is the first time it's come up.
The first and the last, honey. First and last.
I think my favorite myth detail on showing up in mirrors is it's related to the silver.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so some mirrors are not made with silver. And that's why vampires used to not show up in film, because the film used silver nitrate. And so the vampire's appearance
That's
didn't
from
register.
Moonlight.
Right.
Yeah, they use that mechanism.
And
in
so that's
Moonlight.
why vampires show up fine on digital,
Right.
because there's no silver involved.
Right.
Ooh, that'd be... Okay, I just had an idea. So
Okay.
based on the Moonlight mythology.
Okay, here we go. Yep.
Okay. You can use silver in electronic components. Just most of the time, gold is used
Yeah.
because it's a little easier to work with. It's a better conductor of electricity. But what if you made a camera like CCD or CMOS sensor, like the actual light sensor chip?
Yeah.
What if you made that with silver instead of gold? And then you put that right next to, have stereo cameras right next to each other. One where the optical sensor is made with silver, and the other where the optical sensor is made with gold. And then you do like a subtraction filter, and then boom, vampire detector.
Okay. Theoretically, that would work. I mean, we should sell that to security companies.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're Simply Safe feels safe, but
Does it have vampire mode?
does it have vampire detection? I think not.
Does that work with werewolves too?
Why would it work with werewolves? Werewolves
Silver.
show up. But they
Silver.
so they can't eat the camera. Okay, well, fine. You could stab them with the camera.
Their
in a
supernatural
pinch.
essence reacts with silver. They are deterred by silver. Silver is abhorrent to them, right?
You know what? I'm going to cut you off here. This is
Okay. Hold on.
No.
One more thing.
God.
Okay. If it's the supernatural essence
Yeah.
that is abhorrent to silver, and vampire, their whole essence is the vampireness.
Yes.
So their vampireness doesn't register on silver.
Okay.
With a werewolf, it's just the transformed version of the their
Wolf.
werewolfness that reacts with silver differently. Okay, so you have our vampire mode camera with the silver optical sensor and the gold optical sensor. If you point that at a werewolf, does it just show the human form of the werewolf?
It depends on whether you think their transformation is entirely physical or if it's partially supernatural. So are they still themselves, but they are
The supernatural essence of the
accurately
werewolf
simulating a wolf exterior? Or have they physically transformed? Because if they physically transformed, then no, it wouldn't show
They
them as
wouldn't have a
person.
reflection just like vampires.
They still have a reflection. The only thing that silver bothers if you stabbed them with a silver mirror, it would be problematic. I'm not having this discussion with you right
You
now.
are, but you're trying to get out of it.
It's because you are deliberately misinterpreting myths and to make your vampire
I'm
cameras seem
equivocating
like a
on mythological
You are,
terminology.
yes.
Did my sigh pick up on the microphone?
I'm sure it did.
Okay, good.
Okay. Natalie also mentions artificial blood back to Forever Night. Natalie mentions that she gave him artificial blood, which isn't a thing. Like 100% sure it's not a thing. Like, I'm 80% sure it's not a thing. Let's carry on that theme.
You're 80% sure, but you're saying it with 100% confidence.
Yes. And Nick is like, oh, you mean that low-fat, non-fat, no-flavor stuff? She's like, don't knock it, man. You got an open wound on your shoulder.
Have you tried that artificial blood I gave you?
Oh, you mean the low-fat, zero cholesterol, no sodium, absolutely
No flavor? Yeah, well, don't knock it, Tiger. It's obviously working.
You're welcome.
Obviously, it's working.
And then she starts casually rubbing his shoulders.
As they're talking about kids.
Like, she's still trying to get this back to the booty call she thought it was. She's like, oh, you look a little tense. Let me just rub them shoulders for you. Poor Natalie. Then we're
She's
back.
so thirsty.
I know. Well,
Nick is thirsty. Natalie's also thirsty.
for different things. God. Okay.
And they're both resisting the thirst.
Okay, so we go back to the flashback. And LaCroix and Nick, don't. I know that. Don't. Whatever you just thought of, don't say it out loud, please. I know that snicker. Okay, LaCroix.
Deep breaths.
So LaCroix and Nick are talking to each other in the flashback. And this is a really weird conversation because Nick is like, yeah, I don't know about this kid. Like, I'm happy for Janette, but I don't know if we should keep this kid around. LaCroix's like, no, it's fine. He can stay. You know, if Janette wants him, Janette should have him because nobody puts baby in a corner. Janette gets what Janette wants. And Nick is like, oh, don't you think he'll betray us? And LaCroix's like, he can't betray his own kind. And Nick is like,
I just want to say, I love every LaCroix scene.
I love LaCroix. I fucking love LaCroix. I can't wait until we get LaCroix back because LaCroix's like,
he's so over the top that he's like coming up from underneath.
I know.
He's like foundational to the entire experience.
I know. And Nick is like, you're deranged. And LaCroix's like, well, yeah, obviously.
It would be an interesting experiment, don't you think?
He's too young to choose.
Choose? My dear Nicholas, we offer him the rarest of gifts. We choose for him.
You are deranged.
Yes, I know.
He's like,
you're just noticing?
He's like, fucking preaching to the choir, man. Yeah, I am. LaCroix knows who he is. And I love a villain.
He accepts who he is. He embraces who he is.
Yeah. He's only a villain because he's doing things that to Nick seem villainous. But LaCroix to himself, he's not doing things that are deliberately evil. He's just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
There is no cognitive dissonance inside of LaCroix's head.
No, nope. He completely accepts everything that he's doing. Everything. He's fine. He's good. Yep. It's totally rational to him that he could turn this little child into a vampire and that's the perfect solution.
It's an interesting experiment.
Yep.
Is what Lacroix says.
He says, think about it.
Regardless.
He says, think about it. You'll be frozen in the peak of youth forever. That'd be great.
Wow.
And Nick is like,
I want to explore this. And Nick is like, oh my God.
you're disgusting. Lacroix's like, semantics.
This has to be pretty close to when Nick leaves Lacroix. Because this would be 1940s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right about there. He leaves right 50s, 60s-ish. We're going to find that out in Father's Day, which I think is a season 2 episode. He flees Lacroix. Flees Lacroix. He puts himself in a shipping crate, gets himself shipped off. Flees him. Anyway, this is where we open the door for Skanky and Natalie to leave, and it's literally just a brick wall that we're supposed to assume is somehow an elevator.
We're going to have to go back so I can see the elevator, quote unquote elevator.
Quote unquote elevator. We will.
I missed that.
We will. Don't you worry. And then he carries the little girl up because now she's fallen asleep. She's hustled Skanky out of a bunch of money at poker.
$23.
Probably let Natalie cry on her shoulder about how Natalie thought she was coming over there to hang out with Nick. And really, she was just there to pull a bullet out. And now she's tired. She's gone to sleep. So Nick carries her upstairs and he puts her to bed on his satin fuck sheets. I don't know what they're He has the most torrid looking.
Here's my theory.
Okay.
Janette picked them out.
Guaranteed they were a gift. She was like...
He showed up at the Raven one night and he's like, Janette, I need your help. That's the only time you come see me, Nick. I don't know which bed sheets to pick out.
She was like...
Oh, Nicola, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, she probably just went upstairs and pulled her 2 sets of black satin sheets that she had just lying around and hadn't opened yet. Just was like, here, take these home. What do you have, a queen? King?
These are my
Fine,
extras.
Here you go. These are my extras. I just keep...
They're broken in, Nicola.
I keep 5 or 6 pairs lying around in case I get too much blood on one, and then I can just throw it out, grab a new set. It's fine.
My mom told me an interesting story about my uncle.
Do we?
Well, hold on.
Yeah, go. No, go. I'm ready.
Relevant to the
hit it
story you just made up about Janette.
You just made up.
He didn't wash underwear or socks. He would just throw them out. And then when he didn't have enough left, he would just go buy more.
Wow. So then we get a heartfelt moment with the little girl.
Aww.
Because as soon as she gets put on these suspect sheets, she immediately wakes up.
Well, look, she doesn't wake up until Nick starts taking her shoes off.
Oh, yeah. No. You just leave the shoes on. It's fine. You got to wait for the hook to
Let
set.
sleeping children lie.
Yep.
You got to wait 30 to 45 minutes for them to get into deep sleep mode. If they're in REM sleep still and you wake and you disturb them, your night's gone.
Just gone.
You got to wait 30 to 45 minutes. They're in deep sleep. Sleep is in 90-minute cycles.
Yeah.
45 minutes is halfway through a cycle. You got to hit it in the deepest deep sleep cycle. And then you can they're sliding off of the bed. Well, I'm just going to scoot you back onto the bed.
Yeah, they will not wake up. In fact, there's a line that Nick has earlier where Natalie asks him, how's it going? And he says, I'm enjoying it and I'm afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's fucking parenthood right there. I'm enjoying it and I'm terrified all at the same time. But she wakes up.
Who needs to be mortal for parenthood?
I know, he could literally foster kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she wakes up enough to tell him about how she blames herself for her mom's death, which is, hey, guilt, always our theme. Misplaced guilt, taking guilt onto yourself that you don't really
At least
need
it's
to.
not suicide.
Yes. There is no suicide in this
Hooray!
episode.
One of the few.
Oh, look at that. And we go back to our flashback We get a lot of flashback. There's a lot of story happening in the flashback this time. We haven't had like a storyline in the flashback. We've had like a little bit. Maybe last episode there was a little bit.
It's usually like exactly mirroring the plot in the main episode, the present timeline.
Yeah. This is more of a fleshed out flashback that we haven't had one for a while. It's still just a couple of sets, but at least we're getting some.
While we're thinking
action
about it, this is so a lot of the flashbacks are Nick observing some kind of behavior in the past that parallels what's happening now.
Yeah.
And most of the time, things work out in the present the same way they happened in the past. And that's kind of a,
wow.
Things never change.
Yeah.
The world is such a horrible place, right? That's kind of the plot arc of the flashbacks. But then sometimes we get the flashback is like, oh, this horrible thing happened. But this thing that Nick learned in the past, he was able to use the lesson learned in that flashback
to fix it,
to make the outcome of the present timeline work better.
Yeah, and the only thing he learned from this particular flashback was don't leave Lacroix alone with children. And since Lacroix is dead, problem's already solved. He can just remember what happened. And he remembers kicking Daniel out to save him.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, you don't know this, but shit's fucked up around here, okay?
You need to leave. You are literally running for your life.
Yeah, you need to run for your life right now. And he actually hypnotizes him into doing it.
Yep.
He's like, you got to go. And as soon as the kid leaves, of course, like Lacroix and Janette walk out. Like they've just been hanging out around the corner.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, where did he go? And then we get this weird, awkward, long view of Janette and then Lacroix. And they're both looking disapproving at Nick. And Nick's like, I regret nothing. I regret nothing. And then we go back to the present. And Nick has put on his leisure shirt. We haven't seen his leisure shirt in a couple of episodes.
Okay, this clip was weird. I was like, is this like another flashback? Is this just like Nick reminiscing about what he does in his free time? No, this is what Nick is doing while Lisa is asleep in his apartment. The girl that does not know he is a vampire is sleeping in his bed in the sheets that he got from Janette, and he changes into his blousy, drapey shirt.
Like 18th century peasant shirt that he wears. But wait, no, the best part about this is he wasn't wearing this. He was wearing his like black shirt under his purple members only jacket previously. And then we have this scene where he's bottling his own blood. He has like a barrel
wearing the blousy
shirt. And then when he goes to bed on the couch, he has changed back into his black shirt with his purple members.
That's his blood bottling outfit.
Yes, he's like, hang on, I gotta get in my work shirt. So he put on his like 18th century blousy shirt, and he literally has like a wooden barrel.
He literally has a wooden cask
full of blood, and he's like
scooping it out with a gravy tureen,
ladling it into his green bottle.
Okay, hold on. Now that you point that out, his hand didn't have any blood on it.
No, he didn't have any blood on his white shirt. Look, he's had 800 years to perfect this technique, okay?
Well, okay, but the container that he's using to dip in the barrel and then pour into the bottle, he would have to dip his hand all the way into the liquid.
Listen.
Because if it was a ladle, if it was like a big canning ladle with like a big scoop and a spout on the scoop, right? Then you could dip it into a barrel and then pour it into something and not get your hand dirty because your hand doesn't have to get that close to the liquid that you're scooping.
Yeah, but not when
like
you're
the gravy
using like
tureen.
Gravy boat.
Gravy moat.
Boat.
Boat. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
It depends on where you're from.
Right.
Okay. The handle is below the top level
Yes.
of the container. So to actually scoop anything, at least the bottom, like your pinky finger, would dip into the liquid.
Look, you know how it goes. You go to Costco, you buy meat in bulk, intending to break it up, put it in the freezer in like little bags for meals. And then like a week passes and you realize you have to deal with this right now or it's all going to go bad. So he went to Costco. He got his like Kirkland
cask.
His Kirkland Blood cake. His Kirkland Blood cake. That's harder than purple members only jacket. And he brought it home and it's been sitting for like a week and he had to deal with it right now. He didn't have time. So he had to get into his work shirt, get it done, and then get his stuff put away. Okay. And then he just changed back so nothing would look weird when she woke up. I heard this referred to as Euro minutes the other day.
Euro minutes?
Euro minutes. Remember we were wondering why.
Hold on.
Wait.
Minutes?
Minutes. Euro minutes.
Euro minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Remember we were postulating why do they have this weird fluff, filler, like odd scenes that they add in where you could cut them out and it really wouldn't change the flow of the episode.
Yeah.
So apparently they had what were called Euro minutes because in European countries, when they aired over there, they didn't have as many commercials. So they needed more content.
Oh.
But when you had it in the US,
There's a lot more commercials.
There's a lot more commercials. So you would cut out more. So you had to have these slices of time that you could include in the European episode, but not in the American episode. And it wouldn't at all change the flow of the episode or like the amount of information that you get.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what this is a Euro minute. That's why it's cut in here really strangely, but it is really strange.
Like you could have picked, go with the chess set scene again.
He could have thrown tarot cards. He could have bounced the ball. We could have had him bouncing the ball against the door. Perfect. That one would have been great. Yep.
But bottling blood while the like 10-year-old girl is sleeping upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Euro minutes continue for another few seconds because we get a lot of sunrise, sunset, traffic passing, like sun traversing across the screen. And Punky Brewster's woken up. Lisa's woken up and she comes downstairs and Nick is sleeping on the couch.
She goes up to the couch and she starts shaking him and says, "Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon."
She goes, "Wake up, officer, wake up and smell the donuts." Does Nick have to sleep with his arms crossed over his chest like that? Because every time we see him sleeping, he is.
Do we?
Yeah. Do you think he just does that? He's like, well, this feels like the natural
It's like
thing to do.
It's like in Love Bites when the vampire guy, I forget his name in the movie, but the vampire guy, every time he lays down, he has to cross his arms over his chest.
Yeah. Jeffrey? Anyway, bad guys are closing in, though. So Nick's asleep. However, he's asleep suspiciously with his arms crossed. And the bad guys are closing in, which we get a lot of cut between them in the apartment and the bad guys. And then also Skanky, like, shaming Lisa's dad because Lisa's dad has finally arrived from the oil rig.
Yeah, that scene lasts a lot longer than it should.
Yeah. But Lisa opens the blinds, which there must be a button on his remote labeled blinds because everybody just picks up his remote and goes and opens the blinds. And so does Lisa, which he could have just hidden the remote.
I gotta say, Nick does zero prep for his house for having a kid there.
To be fair, they dumped that on him.
No, I mean, after she's asleep.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, man.
That's
after bottling all this blood, I sure am sleepy. I should make sure that the house is safe for a 10-year-old spunky girl to be able to run around and do whatever. Because if she just starts running around banging on stuff, even if she grabs my arm and like flops it down on my chest, I'm not going to wake up. So I need to make sure that this household is safe for a child. I'm going to make just minimal efforts. I'm going to hide the remote. I'm going to hide my compact with the mirror in it.
Yeah. Why did he have a compact?
He does none of these things.
Yeah, fuck all. Fuck all. Childproofing is not Nick's strong point. So Lisa opens the blinds, grabs a mirror, like a compact with a mirror in it, and uses it to reflect the sunlight on Nick's face.
Which, fair enough. Nobody told her. He did not tell her that he is allergic to sunlight.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Nobody seems to believe him when he says he's allergic to sunlight anyway. So he's probably like, fuck it. She's not going to believe me. He probably thought she was going to sleep all the way through the day. It probably didn't even consider it.
Yeah, he probably thought, oh, this child fell asleep at 4 a.m. There's no way she's going to wake up before 7 a.m. I need to get a couple hours of sleep. So I'm just going to lay down.
Yeah.
But if you have children, you know.
Yeah, what time they go to bed does not correlate to what time they wake up.
Yep.
Yeah.
If our daughter goes to sleep at 5 a.m., she's still waking up at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Regardless, she's just cranky all day.
But Lisa burns Nick, and Nick does not maintain a cool head about this. He
Nick,
flips the fuck out.
Flips his shit.
He's like, grabbing his eyes, throwing himself against stuff. He like runs over to the kitchen and is like freaking out and hissing and showing his fangs.
Because she reflected direct sunlight into his eyes.
Right.
So he finally gets into the bathroom and she's like, Nikki,
are you okay? And he's like, I'm blind.
I'm blind! I'm blind!
He yells it so dramatically. It's so traumatizing for this child.
I know, she just goes upstairs and starts crying.
She has no idea why he's in pain. She knows she's hurt him, but she doesn't know why. And now he's in the bathroom. He won't talk to her, and he's just screaming, I'm blind. So she's like, I'm going to go cry in my room now. So she goes back up to the room, and she's crying. And the bad guys are still getting ready to break in.
Right. As Nikki is sitting in the bathroom with his face against a window with sunlight coming through.
Maybe it's a light, like a diffuse light.
It's a glass wall.
I don't want to talk about it. He takes a moment to conclude his flashback, though. And that is, he walks into the house. Janette, like he holds Janette in his arms for a moment, and then the fire truck rolls at him. And he says, LaCroix, aren't you a little old to be playing with toys? And when he comes around the corner, it's Daniel. But Daniel's a vampire.
Womp womp.
Yeah. So he didn't save his life. Surprise, surprise.
Yet another failure to stack upon the mountain of failures in my life.
So Nick, having taken a moment to meditatively contemplate about that one time he let that one kid get turned into a vampire, he has regained control over himself, and he walks out. But he's blind, and so his eyes are stuck in the
They're stuck
greenish
in vamp out mode.
And he can hear the people coming. And so he says, he's calling for Lisa. Like, Lisa, where are you? There's people breaking in. I need to know where you are. And so she comes out, and he's like, shh, they're coming. I need you to just stay very still. And don't freak out, because I'm about to do some superhero shit. So then he could have just gone on the other side of the door and snuck out from behind the other side of the door and tackled this guy, and it would have been just as effective. But oh no, he's not feeling it. Look, he just woke up. he's having a bad day and he's got to take it out on somebody. So he flies up to chill out.
To be fair, most people, if they come through a door, and they're looking for like enemies, humans are horizontal scanners.
Yeah.
Right? At a very hardwired biological level, when we're hunting, we go for horizontal scanning first. We don't look up.
Right. Well, this guy
because we hunt
up.
prey at ground. Humans historically, ancestrally, hunt prey at ground level.
Yeah, well.
So humans don't look up. So it makes a lot of sense for Nick, who's impaired because his eyes are not working yet, to get out of horizontal scanning range by moving vertically.
Yeah. By very dramatically flying up and like clinging to the wall over the door.
But he's still blind at this point.
And then he does this really slow, dramatic, and he looks super fucking stoked as he rotates around. He turns.
Yes, he's floating in the
180
he's
degrees.
Floating in the air.
Yeah.
He just rotates in the air. And yeah, he's ready
to
rumble.
Jazzed. He's got a glint in his eye. He's smiling.
That's the blindness.
He's got his fangs out. He's ready. So when this guy walks through, he just air torpedoes him, knocks him down. And Lisa's like, oh, that's pretty fucking sweet. She's into this because she's into superheroes.
Yeah.
So this is some superhero shit.
She's probably read Morbius.
Yeah. Thank God she hasn't seen the movie. She'd be like, oh my God, get me out. Sorry. Then he tosses this guy around and he knows Lisa is watching him. Can he develop a little chill? Does he have to like growl and like fang at everybody? Must he do the full like where he like shows his fangs?
Anytime he's using his vampire strength is only available as an attribute boost when he's gone full vamp out in the face.
Right. Yes, but he doesn't necessarily have to be
It's like barbarian rage.
Right, but does he have to growl at everybody? Is that because
That's
he's
included.
Like tapping into his animalistic nature, I guess? And so Skanky is at the precinct shaming her dad for trying to take care of her the best way he can.
While grieving his own wife?
Yeah, it's a lot there.
Yeah.
But they hear that there was an explosion at Nick's place, which I don't know what explosion.
I'm guessing it's the shotgun blast that
maybe
blew the hole open in the door.
Because they blow off a sizable chunk of his door to get in.
Yeah.
And Nick knows there's a second guy, so he's listening for him, and he tells Lisa to go and lock herself in his bedroom. And so she's trying to run there, and this guy falls through the skylight. And
the skylight again!
Yes. And so Nick flies up there, right into where the skylight would be casting light.
Shh.
And
it's early morning. The sun is not overhead yet.
Okay.
This is all indirect sunlight.
Okay. Well, he still has a skylight that does not have blinds of any kind on it. And that light must pretty much get around most of his apartment during the day.
Nick, it's time for an upgrade.
I think he needs to take care of this because this guy falls through it.
It's been 31 years.
Nick tackles him, and that's pretty much the end of that. He's taking care of both the guys. And so he sits down in the doorway with Lisa. And he's
okay, so at some point between him tackling the first guy and him sitting talking to Lisa, he's regained his sight.
Yeah.
Because he's making eye contact with Lisa.
Right. Well, he heals fast, except when he gets shot and he has to have Natalie come over. And anyway.
Hold on.
He heals fast.
I have an explanation for that.
Oh, God. I'm so ready for this.
He spent the whole time Lisa was sleeping bottling blood. And then at the very end, he uncorks a bottle and takes a big swig.
Yeah.
He's charged up with fresh blood.
Yeah, that's true. He's He's
Whereas
got resources.
previously he had been drinking the artificial blood.
Ah, it's true.
The artificial blood was slowing down, was not providing his body with the necessary nutrients to perform the vampiric feats of biology that are normally available to him. And so by drinking real blood
just letting you
out of
spiral on
his
this.
glass green bottle,
Yep.
he finally had a nutritious meal. Hold on, I saw a meme today. It was
on your meme stream.
on my, when I was what did we say? It was
Peddling the meme stream.
peddling the meme stream. It was King of the Hill. And it was Hank Hill saying something like, "No, I don't need a multivitamin. I will be eating a steak later."
All right, so now that you have, wow, okay,
so now
you know what? Just thank you.
Nick is sitting in this doorway.
Thank you for that whole contribution. Whatever that. Just thank you.
You're welcome.
She's like, hang on. Nick is like, you didn't see me flying. You didn't see me flying, and she's like, oh, yeah, I did.
He tries to hypnotize her. It doesn't work.
I'm pretty sure it didn't.
Come on, Nick. Hey, at least tell me. How can you fly like that?
I didn't fly. You did not see me fly.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure it never works when Nick tries to hypnotize people, so... But she
It
goes
worked
along with it.
with Danielle.
Yeah. But he was maybe
1940s
eating
London.
people at that time. Although he
Yeah.
said he hasn't killed anybody in 100 years.
And this would have only been 50 years ago.
He hasn't killed anybody that matters in 100 years because he's killed like 3 people on the show so
He
far.
hasn't. He has not drunk anybody.
Oh, okay. That's different.
Except, didn't he drink somebody in one of the episodes?
No.
I
He never
vaguely
does.
remember an episode.
No, he never does.
Maybe it was a flashback.
And so she kind of melts down and she's like, this is all my fault. It's my fault they came here. If I hadn't stolen those comics and run into that guy, he wouldn't have died. And Nick says something pretty insightful. He says his life killed him, not you.
I started all of it.
Marty Angelo died because he was a thief stealing from thieves. His life killed him, Lisa, not you. Like the drunk driver who killed your mom. His fault, not yours.
He made choices that led him to his death, and they were not your choices.
He was thieving money from thieves.
Yeah, he was stealing money from thieves. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Skanky arrives along with the rest of the precinct, apparently. And one guy's like holding one of Nick's glass bricks. And Skanky says, "You got any kids?" And the guy goes, "No." And he goes, "Get some. That's an order." And so the dad shows up and the dad takes the little girl home. And it's a big heartfelt moment. And I just want to point out that we never actually investigated this case.
We never dug into the whole mob connection.
We didn't solve anything.
Well, hold on.
Wait. Before you go, whatever fucking tangent you have got in the barrel. Hang on.
This one's short. Okay. The same thing I told
believe
you. The same thing I told you before, while we were watching.
Yeah.
Was no, a guy was killed. They found the 2 guys who killed him dead in Nick's apartment.
Yeah. So technically, Nick solved the case.
And so Rachel said, "Yeah, but they don't know who hired those 2 guys to kill Marty."
Yeah. So technically speaking, Lisa is still a witness to a mob hit. None of that was solved, and they just sent her home with her father.
Go home with your daddy.
It's fine. I'm sure there's going to be absolutely no retribution. Further retribution after the last...
From the mob.
After the last 2 times somebody tried to kill you. Hey, you know what? We'll send you home with that bulletproof vest that you were wearing earlier.
Hey!
Just make sure you wear it to school like it's America. It was good, you know. It was good.
Yeah.
Good in that it was so fucking bad. So that's it. That's the wrap up of that episode. We didn't solve the case. We kind of did. Nick solved the case.
We didn't solve the case.
Nick solved the case. He killed the bad guys because they came to him, literally, at his house.
Nick helped resolve a tiny bit of emotional trauma in Lisa's life.
After causing a significant amount more.
Skanky guilt tripped Lisa's dad so much that when Lisa and he were leaving, and Lisa was like, "Oh, I hope you don't have to go back to work soon," he says, "Well, you and I need to sit down and have a long conversation about that," because he's thinking about finding a different job.
And they should probably move because she's going to be in danger.
She's known to the mob.
Which, to be fair, they don't know who she is. They just knew who Nick was.
Right. Only the hitmen knew who the little girl. They don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
They were just able to track her.
Right. And the only crime that she's a witness to is done. It's already finished.
Right. Yeah, there's no links back to the higher level mob structure.
All right. Well, thanks to Matt's helpful contributions.
You're welcome.
We're pretty far in. So we're just going to wrap up here. Next week, we'll be coming at you with season 1, episode 14, which is Spin Doctor, which was the second lowest rated episode after Dead Air. So it should be another wild ride. Listen, look at the bright side, honey. Every episode that we watch gets us closer to LaCroix.
That's a good point. It gets us to the... What's his radio name?
The Nightcrawler.
The Nightcrawler. Yes, every episode gets us closer to the Nightcrawler. And I'm here for that.
I read another article that was talking about radio, like late night radio or local radio, and how used to be you would pay for time. So LaCroix is probably paying for his time as the Nightcrawler, even though he's really only doing it so he can lecture Nick without actually being there. And that usually public radio stations, the people on them are required to do pledge drives every so often, which means that LaCroix must do pledge drives as the Nightcrawler.
Hold on. Is this American public radio or Canadian public radio?
I don't know. Somebody weigh in. Would they be that much different? It'd be in the 90s, so I don't know. That could be another thing that's lost to time here, is how pledge drives worked on Canadian public radio in the 90s.
Yeah.
But the Pod Lab is done for news. Newsy news. I have joined a couple other little services, I guess, like Letterboxd and Fable, where I can share books and movies that we're watching, even if we're not necessarily doing them on the pod. And so I'm going to be getting that figured out and getting all that stuff up on there. And then I'll be sharing it for anybody that wants to follow us on there. But we still have all of our regular stuff. So if you go to strangeandbeautiful.club, you can find our Instagram. You can find our Patreon. You can find our submission form. And you can also go anywhere, please, where you can rate us or review us. Just drop a rate or a review. Helps other people find us, pushes us up the algorithm.
Spotify, Apple, I think maybe Stitcher does. Stitcher at least tracks subscriptions.
If you have other friends that
trackable.
if you have other friends that like sci-fi, fantasy, horror,
or just casual, nostalgia-heavy banter.
Yeah, feel free to force them to listen to us and then make them follow us on Instagram And if you don't follow us on Instagram yet, follow us on Instagram because I just posted some pictures of the Pod Lab and it looks pretty freaking sweet. It's one of the few times I've deliberately decorated something with nonsense, like decor that had no purpose. So,
other than the joy of looking at it.
yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. Usually I'm like, I'm not going to put that lamp there. Why the fuck do I need a lamp there? I've got a light on the ceiling. But
yeah, Rachel deliberately bought a pack of Minecraft figurines.
Yeah.
For display as a
put,
Christmas present to herself.
Yeah, I put stuff up that had no purpose other than to be pretty, which I was really happy with.
Yeah, and all of the merchandise that we've bought from Sky Children of the Light.
Yeah. And we're going to be doing our movie episode a little early this week because we're going to be doing our book talk episode a little late. So I might be doing a switcheroo.
Yeah, Kate's switching to Fridays.
Just for a bit.
For a bit? I thought that was a permanent thing.
I don't know. We'll find out. But we're just, you know what? Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And as soon as we pop up, you'll see it. Ba-ding! You'll know. You can listen to us. You know we're going to keep giving you content. We can't not give you content. It's basically like a compulsion. If there's a night where we don't record, I'm like, oh God, we're behind.
Either we're recording or we're watching.
Yeah. We've got a guest coming in another couple of weeks.
We do?
We do. Yes. We have a guest coming.
Hey, you can tell me about it at the same time as you tell the listeners.
You know why I don't tell you ahead of time? Because you're going to forget. I'm just going to tell you again. So this way, it gets to be a surprise once. Hey! So
it'll be a surprise the next time you mention it.
Yeah,
too.
and you know what? If you follow us on Instagram, you'll find out all about it. So I guess we'll just leave it at that for tonight because we're running a little over and feeling a little punchy. So
running over? What?
I try to keep the Forever Night episodes below an hour and a half.
What?
So remember, this is your part. You got to do it now. So remember.
I just signed up for Fable.
I did see a reel saying that cringe culture is dead. So you need to love what you do, love who you are. And I was like, God, we sign off with that every single time. I am such a trendsetter.
You know the trends before they're the trends.
No, I don't. However, I never believed cringe culture was a real thing anyway, so happy to see that may be on its way out.
Anyways, remember.
Sometimes the strangest things.
I know it. I'm just playing.
Are you?
Like
I'm just playing. Props own eyelid open with fingers. I'm just shitty. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. I got you.
I was just egging you on.
Listen, I'm listening to you. I am paying attention.
Sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye. Unmuted it just to fart the microphone. You're such a dick.